Hi, a very warm welcome. Good afternoon, good morning, astronauts, partners, data viz enthusiasts, Vizlibers, or generally analytics enthusiasts. We very much welcome you to another Astrato live session, first one this year. And today we have here on the call Emily, Martin, Alex, and Piers, and myself, of course. So this is the second Astrato live we do. We'll be probably doing those once a month. They're live, means they're not being recorded, they're not being cut. So there's stuff that we can say that we cannot take back anymore, bloopers. And at the same time, what I find most exciting, we have a really, really cool chat window here on the right-hand side, where I see all our greatest and biggest fans, Joachim and others, asking us questions and participating basically. So we have a couple of interesting things today, new features, roadmap, a quick glimpse into the future, and of course, Emily will show you a couple of really, really impressive stuff she's managed to build with Astrato. That's it from my side. And yeah, handing over to you, Emily, to wow the crowd.
Awesome. Thanks, Martin. We're so excited to have all of you here. I just want to take a poll and see who's out there. If we could get you to pop into the comments, let us know. Are you an Astratonaut? Have you signed up for your free account yet? Share with us if you have. And if you haven't, let us know when you're going to sign up. There should be some links in the chats on whatever streaming service you're on, so you can sign up, or you can scan the QR code that's on your screen down at the bottom. Cool. So let's dive into some features and show off what we've been working on. I think, Piers, you're going to help me walk through this first one here.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. So in this dashboard, we're looking at a bit of lightweight sales data. Very simple. I can see on the left-hand side, Emily, you've used some object templates. Do you want to talk us through and show us on screen how you've done that, how we can save templates as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my favorite ways to design dashboards quickly and easily is using object templates. And for me, this is really key when I'm developing KPIs. It's an easy way to bring a lot of grouped objects together and replicate it on my screen. So what I've done here is I've designed a KPI. It has quite a few objects. I've got a background object. I've got a couple of text objects, as well as an image, icon, and a chart. So when you highlight over those objects, you can create a group. So you can group and ungroup those objects. And then on the screen, you can right click and save those as a template. So we'll do that now.
So as a product manager on Astrato, I find myself using this quite a lot when we're doing KPIs for our own analytics, whether it's Vizlib or Astrato. It's super handy to have those shortcuts to hand, going back and forth between my favorite object layouts. KPI can be like a mini dashboard that I can copy and paste in different areas.
And use across multiple sheets too within your workbook, which is awesome. And you'll
Easy
see
win
that
for consistency.
Yeah. You'll see that they're all housed in your object template. So all of the objects that I've saved are here. So the one that I just saved was that template example. And when I apply it into my worksheet here, I can add it to my space.
Nice. So we've got sales for furniture and office supplies now. And what's this one that you're doing? Technology. I never get used to how fast it is to do. So here Emily's adding a static filter. I might be a little bit biased, one of my favorite features, so we can focus on the data that we need to specifically.
Yeah, I love using filters, static filters in charts, because previously I would have to write pretty long equations to get down to the detail that I'm looking at now. And now all I need is a quick filter.
Yeah, and of course, as soon as it gets a little bit complex, you end up having to do it at the source. So what we do here is it is calculated in the source, but you haven't had to write any SQL. So this is connecting to Snowflake example. You can see on the top left it says simple datasets. right next to our logo.
Looks like I lost my technology text box here. So let me.
Always a little bit of fun playing with groups in any tool.
Yes.
Nice. There we go. That's 2 new consistent KPIs.
Awesome. Great. So what else would you do for this dashboard to maybe help tell a story?
So to help tell a story, I think you would need a couple more visualizations as well. I think one important thing as well when telling a story is to reduce the distraction there, improving the focus on the data that matters. So in this case, you've picked out the top products, the sales on the left-hand side in the KPIs. We have furniture, office supplies, technology. So we can do some sorting and filtering in the table. But one way that I find super useful is to expand those items. We can group them up by category. So if you open up the properties panel for the table object and then go into style, we have the expandable table. It's currently called the nested table. That's changing. And now we're focused. Really nice. And now we're focused on just those 3 things, and we can drill down into those. So if you click on the plus, you've got new data in there, live from Snowflake, and if you expand again, that's a new query, so that's fantastic for performance. So we've only had to load the first 3 rows. Those are aggregations performed in Snowflake.
Very
so there's
cool.
no need to worry about loading thousands and thousands of rows until we start drilling down, and even then they're just lightweight results.
Yeah. Another way I like to bring a story into my dashboards, you can see we're using the progress bar. We can also add different coloring to draw our attention to maybe numerical values that we want our audience to see or to stand out. So maybe on our average sales, we could just toss in a conditional formatting. And now we can just highlight those areas.
And we're looking at an average. So if you expand that, the conditional formatting will still apply. There we go, a nice visual indicator showing off all of our signature table features inside the new expandable table.
Great. Thanks for helping me to demo the object templates and the expandable table, Piers. I think that our next section will be presented by Martin and Alex, and they'll be showing off the object layering and publishing flows.
Thanks, Emily.
All right. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Emily and Piers. It looks amazing. Thought we'd share a bit on what's coming up next. So I also got really inspired by everything that Emily and Piers just showed. And one of the advantages we have when creating your dashboards and editing your workbook and all that is that we're doing this, the pixel perfect dashboard. So everything can look exactly as you want, and you can layer things on top of each other and start work with that to basically have endless possibilities on what we're doing. Here I my dashboard, and for example, I want to highlight this bar chart down here a bit more. I may want to add some more KPIs and start to add some shapes to make it pop a bit more. So I'm going to start off with just adding a simple shape and put it on top here. I'm gonna tweak it a bit, make it look nice. I'm gonna put this so it's nice and tight with the shape. Something like that, maybe. We can start adding some KPIs and so on later on. And then I can change my color so it's consistent with the rest of the dashboard. So now maybe I'm done with my shape, and I can move on.
But hey, Martin, that actually looks really cool. But in the past when you did all of this stuff, right? It got a bit cumbersome. I had to send it back and forwards, and after a while, I had an enormous amount of objects on my sheet, and it was really hard to manage. Have you invented any cool way of solving this?
I'm so glad you asked, Alex. So one of the new cool things we're looking to introduce is if you now go over to Sheets, we had a new system inside of management where you can see all of your objects inside of the sheet. And here I can manage all the layers and my objects in my workbook. So here I can see my shape, and it's nicely highlighted as I hover above it, and actually can just drag it alongside in all these layers, and it's rendered in the way that from top to bottom, or bottom to top, sorry, in that order. So now I just drag it on the shape, and it appears at the bottom, and I can see my bar chart here again. So now my bar chart on top instead, and I can go in here and tweak it a bit better. That shape didn't really match too good. So yeah, that's better. There we go. And since we've added this new system now, what you can actually do is do some quick actions within here. So I can hover around here, and now I might want to find my shape again and start editing that. So I can either just go here and click on it, and then I have it. But what I can also do is start to do some quick prototyping and actually just hide this bar chart, so I can see my shape again, and that way I can easily just select it and see what it looks like without that bar chart. Now I'm not a design expert, so I might want to go with someone else and share whatever my results is with someone else. So I'm just gonna do some quick and delete this. I'm not too happy with it. Here we go. Delete that.
So I'm really liking what I'm seeing here, Martin. Is there any way that you can actually share this with me so that I can take a stab at it myself? Because as you pointed out, you're not that good at design, right? So I probably want to make it look pretty.
Yeah. So now we've introduced a new flow when you're publishing. So it's going to be a lot easier to actually share your work with others. So in here, we've had this dialogue, and I have 2 collections ready. And I can add this workbook to these 2 collections, and I can publish this and start sharing it with my peers and colleagues. So from here, I can now easily just grab that link and view this in a new tab to see what the results look like, and then go into my collections and see where they end up. And boom, here they are, nice and tidy, ready to go. And now I can actually just share this with others, ready to go. And they can start creating their own drafts and tweak around with it, and so on and so forth, to actually start collaborating a bit with others in your team. Yeah, so that's all for now. All the things for now I want to share in the analytics creation experience in Astrato. So with that, we're gonna hand over
to
to
the question
next
coming in,
section.
We have one question coming in from the audience. So is the hide show object functionality already present in the system? I saw that you could toggle the visibility there on an object.
Not at the moment. So this is a way to just quickly be able to, in this system, hide and show to get a feel of what things look like, whether showing it and actually being able to reach your other objects. You can layer things and move them back and forth, and that way reach your other objects. But now we're actually introducing something to make that easier to handle all your objects in a dashboard, even if, especially when you have a lot of objects.
Amazing, thank you.
So one question, Martin, can you perhaps zoom in again on the object layering, because it was very, very small? If you can maybe show it perhaps in more detail.
Absolutely. Let's see if I can zoom in here. Nope. There we go. I think. Maybe that doesn't show up. Hold on, I can maybe resize my window a bit. There we go.
Nice.
Is that better?
Yes, I remember from the ClickView days when I had a lot of objects on the screen on different sheets, and it was almost like, yeah, a mission to find out what dashboards have been built, where the secret overlaying objects, invisible text objects were located. So that's really, really cool.
Cool. Yeah. Hope everyone can see it this time. Anyways, over to you, Martin.
Coolio. So on my side, quite interesting. So let me, my screen should be shareable. You should be able to see yourselves actually right now. So what we've been working on, that's actually quite interesting. At the beginning of January, and we had this done before in the past. What we did was we organized a hackathon for the whole of Vizlib, basically. So all engineers had the opportunity for a period of 5 days to work on anything they liked and regroup themselves into different teams they would normally be working with. And for 5 days, work on a set number of topics with not many requirements. Of course, us product managers gave them a little bit of a direction. And we let them go, and we saw what they came up with. And generally those hackathons are moments of incredible creativity, innovation, and some of those things I would like to show you what we have managed to achieve in literally just 5 working days. So starting from first one is again, one of our guiding principles for Astrato is always take whatever has worked in the world of Vizlib and make sure that you can somehow, transfer it, obviously to Astrato and beyond. And by the way, everything I'm showing to you right now is relatively unstable. I have a lot of environments running here in parallel. So bear with me if something does not work correctly. So the idea is that you have the ability to display many, many objects. But what we want to do is we want to group the objects. So in this case, I have many, many Pokemons, and I want to now see the different charts basically like a trellis against the different Pokemon types. And the way we've organized it is that we will have the ability to group different individual charts to create a group. So this is already a setting that we have in place that is quite powerful when it comes to layouting, organizing your dashboard, and extremely effective. As you can see, it's movable, and you can also increase it. So it works like PowerPoint essentially. So what we've done here is that we enable a trellis mode, which you can activate here on the right-hand side. You can choose a field of your choice of how you would like the grouped charts to be trellised against. So for this case, I'm going to choose type. And then you can decide how many of those charts you will be displaying in one view. So if I now maximize this, you'll see that for every type 1 on the left-hand side, I have plotted and filtered the chart. So as I scroll down, you will see that I've created a trellis that goes through all different types and shows me the chart in its split format. Now, over here, I'm only displaying one tile at a time. So one trellis, I can, of course, increase it, and I can display multiple ones, for example, 2 versus 2. At which point we will be having, if I give us a little bit of a moment to load, bear with me. Here we go. Right, now loaded. As you can see, it's still unstable, but basically what we managed to do is create a grouped charts of objects, and then you can pivot them against a dimension of your choice to create basically a visual trellis. So really, really interesting, data-driven chart creation, almost generation. And yeah, that'll be part of a standard product. So yeah, get excited on that. I'm really find this extremely nice coming from a BI background. Now, a quick jump in an entirely different area, which is, and please do comment how you like that feature. So a different area is our data view editor. So as you guys are looking at data sources and you're creating so-called business views, so data views of a data source, where you have the ability to come in here and you can select the data that you want to view for your dashboard or your workbook. You have the ability to define the last mile analysis. So do things like labeling, creating business friendly names, setting up dimensions or measures, and other aspects. So this is a very, very popular or needed area. Perhaps let me open this board script. Here we go. Yeah. So, and I think we have done a lot of stuff to make it really, really intuitive. So you can generate that business layer without having to write any kind of SQL or code in general. So as you see here, we have the join suggestions and more. Now, as we are, of course, looking to empower every business user to generate and define the business layer on their own using a very friendly UI, we also want to appeal to the more advanced power users, I would say, who love the UI, but are already very confident to write things on their own. So for this, we are introducing what we're calling a data view editor. Bear with me on the naming convention, where you will basically have the ability to look at this whole semantic layer that we've defined using the UI in a basically object format. So those of you who are data engineers or come from a scripting world and you're comfortable with scripting, you'll have the ability to do all the changes you like by seriously just renaming things directly in the code and saving them and updating your data view in that particular way. So you see here, I've changed the product code. Instead of calling Martin, I'll call this code, and you see that it just got updated. This is quite powerful. You can unfold it, fold it. You can define joins. And one thing that we'll be looking at is to give you the ability to also export the definition so you can version control it. So you can perhaps check in a data view semantic layer against GitHub if that is a setup that you have in your organization. So this is something that we're seeing, we saw, for example, at Looker and LookML is that they're doing quite well, and we will wish to, replicate a similar experience. So, empowering the advanced user to be able to quickly script things themselves. And of course, there's nothing you can break. If you break stuff, there's a validator here that will prevent you basically from updating as you see things are being incorrect. Of course, a lot of different views if you want to change the light view and so on. You can also see differences between before and after. So make sure that you don't just break stuff without seeing them. So a delighted, advanced user experience, particularly for data engineers who are very, very comfortable with writing script, don't necessarily need a UI. So that's here. And further to this, I'm going to show you a couple of other things that we've been working on. I couldn't demo them just yet, but mapping will find itself into our product hopefully soon. We know for a fact that Snowflake has a rich collection of geodata and not just geodata, but also SVG data that we can then consume in an unstructured format to then visualize maps and other basically floor plans and everything else that's basically depictable with SVG. So at the bottom left, we've created a floor plan of our office that we manage actually to implement as an SVG and analytics and did analytics on top of that. So quite powerful, and we're glad we managed. This is a result of 5 days of work, right, from few engineers. Next one, animations. We kind of deprioritize it to begin with, but it is at the core of everything we do. We want to offer a delightful analytics experience, and animations, despite being a point where a lot of people argue, we feel is important, and it adds an extra layer of consumption simplicity to see how the charts change as you're making selections. So that's coming. Not easy to demo over a call, but I'm pretty sure you'll love it and delight your users with it. Next to it is a custom report within the data view editor. So as you can see, we're taking the best of the world of Vizlib, and we're slowly introducing it to Astrato. So having the ability in the data view editor quickly add a dimension, measure, and see how the numbers aggregate, if they make sense, to do some quick sense checking, validations before you go directly to building charts. Personally, from using other BI tools, the first thing I do with a BI tool, I load the data and then I create a table and I see what the data results. but why do that in the UI? You can do that in a more empowered way in the data view editor, where you're selecting and working with your data to perform that last mile analysis. So that is coming, and it's looking very good. And the team has also added a couple of really, really cool new templates that you'll be able to quickly choose to have some pre-configured designs. Again, I'm not a designer. I don't know how to create a beautiful dashboards, but if I can just pick and match really pre-created objects where I only need to change the number that is underneath it and the expression, that'll make my life so much more easier and enables me to delight and wow my users as a creator. And beyond that, formatting, export, Excel in, Excel out, not really demo friendly, so I had to skip it. Printing to PDF, sliders, embeddability, and we have added support for one more data source, which is going to be PostgreSQL. So you'll have the ability to connect to more than just Snowflake and Google Spreadsheets. Get excited. I know for a fact there's a huge community out there that uses PostgreSQL. Maybe not just yet for analytics, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of stuff that you can visualize. If not, at very least, give your business users user-friendly access to data that sits on Postgres or in the cloud or anywhere else. In its essence, what we're doing here at Astrato. So that was all work done in 5 days. So you can only imagine how fast we will now be continuing with our roadmap. And yeah, with this, I'm handing over to Alex, who will speak about the future and speak about our roadmap in more detail and about what's coming on.
Oh, thank you very much. So if Martin is your hype man, I stand here to be sort of the voice of reason to all of the hype. And I just also realized that when we started this screencast, it was actually light outside in Sweden. I had good lighting coming in from the window. It took us about 29 minutes. The sun has now set, and it looks like I'm in a dungeon somewhere. But regardless, let's keep on trucking. So we try to give you an insight all the time into what we're doing in terms of the roadmap and what we're putting focus, right? So we will have these type of updates every month. So as you come back, you might see things will shift a little bit of places here, either because we have shifted or because it has gone reprioritized. But we don't want to keep our roadmap a secret, so we try to share it as openly as possible. And you will also be able to find our roadmap continuously updated on the web as well to keep a good eye on what we're actually doing right now. And right now, as we've seen today, we are focusing on object layer management. We're also doing things like being able to upload data and then transfer that data over into Snowflake if you have wanted to do additional things like grouping and or providing some additional metadata on top of your data, for example. In addition to this, we're also right now focusing on what we call embedded analytics, which is the name that people will think of, but we also like to think of it as sharing analytics. So being able to take analytics that sits inside of Astrato and then either send it to a colleague through a Slack message or embed it on a web page somewhere to share it with the world, or just for internal use, or embed it into other types of operational tools. So this sits currently on our short-term roadmap, and we're hopefully that we're going to be able to ship that fairly soon. In addition to this, what you saw Martin Kierkegaard demoing today, that you could toggle the visibility on objects and so on and so forth, is nice, but it becomes really, really powerful when we can combine it with what we call workbook actions and logic. So being able to visually program your workbook. So the ability to toggle visibility based on certain events or actions, things like a button has been pushed, or if it's Monday every morning, the first of the month, let our users know that something has happened, or whatever type of conditions or logic that we might want to introduce into your workbook. This also sits on our short-term roadmap, and it's something that we're super excited about. And hopefully for the next webinar, a little bit of a teaser here is that we'll hopefully be able to show you the actual version that will ship initially. In addition to this, we will ship the nested table that we've seen today, and also what we call a filter bar. So being able to track the different filters that are in effect across your workbook, so that your users aren't that confused as they traverse your workbooks. Because as you've seen in Astrato, filters are kind of global to the workbook, so this will help you in that regards. As we're moving away a little bit from the short term and onto the medium term and long term, I won't go through all of this, but it will give you a hint of what we're looking to do. We're continuing on what we call enterprise connections. In this topic, we tackle things like pass-through authentication to Snowflake. So no longer having to use things like a service account, but you want to be able to propagate things like, oh, here they come and waving at me, to be able to propagate things like user authentication down onto Snowflake. We're also looking to ship inbuilt models for doing forecasting. So REMA models that you can tweak if you wanted to be able to ship, I shouldn't say less advanced forecasting, but forecasting methods that people will understand. And in addition to this, also additional control things like sliders and buttons and whatnot. So we're pressing on with the roadmap. And as you saw from Martin, the result out of 5 days worth of hackathon, if you then take and extrapolate that onto the rest of the roadmap, that's why we haven't put any months here. We're talking in terms of short, medium, and long term. But when we're thinking short term, we're talking in weeks, not months. And we're thinking medium term, we're talking in single-digit months. And long term is definitely within the scope of the year. So just to give you an idea of where we're going with the product today. And that was it from me in terms of roadmap updates. I'm hoping that there's something here that's kind of like piqued your interest. And if it has, let us know. If you want us to put it either on the short-term roadmap, if you want us to reprioritize something, we're always eager ears, or we're always listening to the feedback from our users. So let us know, and we're always happy to reprioritize. And thank you very much. Ooh, the people are magically popping back in here.
Well
Thanks
done,
for bringing us through that
everyone.
roadmap, Alex. Really awesome to see all the cool things that are coming here in the near future. We'd love to hear from you guys. What are you excited about? What are some of your favorite features that were demoed today or are coming up in the roadmap? And let us know what you'd like to see. Is there anything that we're missing on our roadmap, things that you want to see in the product?
So I actually have a question for Martin here. So Martin Mahler. So you showed this really cool editor for the data view. Will it be possible for me to actually write data views and integrate it directly from dbt?
Absolutely. So the next step, once we have this in place, is to work towards exposing the API that we already have in place, which is just not public. So you'll be able to generate a semantic business data view layer programmatically via dbt. Or vice versa, have also a webhook being sent and to trigger a dbt transformation as well. So quite nice integration with both sides, and that's what we're looking to leverage in a modern new data stack.
I think this is another comment about the maps that you showed, Martin. Herb is interested in the R integration.
Yeah. So that's a very good point, right? And whenever we're speaking about Astrato, it's also important when we say what we can do and what's on our roadmap, what we will implement. It's equally important to highlight what we are not doing. And I'll just say it straight as it is. We're not going to be performing data science. We're not going to be performing AI machine learning. We are not going to be performing geospatial analysis ourselves. What we will do is we will surface all the capabilities of Snowflake and visualize and present the data in the most user-friendly way. So will be taking results of perhaps a machine learning model or baked in AI within Snowflake, and then present the results, perhaps even trigger the model, but we will never be doing the calculations ourselves. So in that case, we'll leverage the power of Snowflake when it comes to geospatial analysis, which is fairly advanced, especially as we're looking into unstructured data as well. And that is the beauty of Astrato, in a sense that everything that Snowflake can do, you get automatically included with Astrato as well and resurfaced. So that is how we are approaching it.
This is a question that we had during the presentation. I think, Piers, you could answer this question. Is it possible to save grouped objects as templates for easy use in other reports and not just the report that you're working in?
I think this one's more for Martin Kierkegaard. Yeah,
It was
yes,
during
yes,
our
indeed.
object template report.
Keep passing the hot potato around, Piers.
The answer is yes.
That's the
Martin.
vision. Yeah, we want people to collaborate, create objects, create company standards that are being reused different workbooks, and object templates is the vision behind this. Yeah.
I think right now we have object templates that are default that are provided by our Astrato team. And then any templates that you save at the moment are available within the workbook that you are designing in.
Yes, at the moment it's within the workbook, I think, but the vision is that you will have company shared one and so on.
Absolutely.
One of the things we're looking at in the somewhat short term is being able to embed groups of objects as well, right? Doing sort of like micro front end, as we call it, which would basically be one of those templates.
Correct. So embeddability, in short, means taking parts of Astrato and bringing it into another technology of your choice that will also sit very likely in the cloud. So, for example, a Astrato chart in Salesforce, or in your web application, or in your whatever else that is that you guys are using. Now, the power of embeddability is that you can either choose a whole dashboard, workbook, as we call it. You can choose an individual chart or a group of charts. So it will become fairly easy to integrate it and to, as we say, bring your analytics to where your flow is.
Cool. Martin K., I'm super, super excited about the actions that are coming. And I was wondering if you could give us just a sneak peek and an understanding of what actions will enable us to do within Astrato workbooks.
Not sure if I can show you anything at the moment.
Maybe just share some of the features that will be
small stories. But yeah, basically what we're trying to do is to create interactivity driven by logic that you will be able to create without any code, but you're going to be able to customize it. And then we're going to convert that basically into code behind the scenes, same way we do throughout the whole project. So there's no code anywhere, but you're still going to be able to create complex flows based on conditions and loops or triggers or whatnot, which you're going to be able to apply filters or show and hide objects. You're going to be able to navigate, require objects. What else? I mean, that's also going to be one of those topics where we have endless possibilities, really. So maybe you can do it with controlling who's looking at it, like what user is coming into this, and then you're going to show different things based on that. So creating this sort of logic and without actually writing any code, and just customize it with a drag and drop system basically, and snapping things together to make it seamless and intuitive.
So the idea here as well was to put sort of the power in the hands of the creators. So instead of shipping, for example, a button that could do 5 different things, we've decided to actually provide a interface for our creators that is very, if you're familiar with Blocky or other programming tools for kids, don't be scared, that actually allows you to combine different things together. So it's only going to be sort of the boundary of your own imagination that will become, set the ceiling for what you'll be able to do. So instead of just pre-baking a lot of things and shipping you, very narrow things, you will be able to combine these things together and create things that we probably haven't even thought about that could even be created. And this could be things like, why don't you cycle through the different areas of the workbook every 15 seconds because I want to put it on a big screen, or I have a very large varied user base. I want to be able to guide them down a specific flow of analysis to reduce the amount of training that I'll have to do on a specific workbook, for example. So there's loads of different applications and use cases that we can probably think of. We've thought of some internally, but we're expecting a lot from the community here, because you can really, really do amazing things when you kind of unleash the power of logic and programs onto analysis and data, basically.
Well, one of the interesting things you brought up there was that we're not tying this to the individual objects. We have some options you can pick. We're actually integrating this into the system instead.
We have another question from the audience. Federico is interested in understanding what other connectors like Excel are coming soon.
So I can perhaps speak to that. So one requirement that we handful know from our experience, having worked with many customers already on a very active basis over the last 5 years, has always been the need for Excel in, Excel out. That's how we call this. And of course, you can have an endless debate about being visionary. People shouldn't export to Excel. If export to Excel, the BI tool is not, or analytics tool is not good enough. And either way, we need Excel in and Excel out as an option. So where we're coming from is, though, and bringing back to what we don't do at Astrato, is that we don't host any data. So we will be able to connect to a hosted Excel file, such as Google Spreadsheets, which we already support today. And we're also exploring Excel 365, I think, although they don't have that much advancement when it comes to their API yet. Once it comes, we will, of course, support it. But one feature that we will bring in is the ability for you, if you're working with Snowflake or another data source, that you will have the ability to upload a CSV file, an Excel file, into a specific area within that data warehouse that you can then query using the data source engine and then visualize in Astrato. So that is how we think about this. Yep.
Thanks, Martin. I think we have a comment from Herb talking about filters. So establishing more granular filters is significant as well. Anyone have any comments on that?
I think that's exactly where we want to go. So being able to filter everything, focus analysis, and add to the guided type of experience that Martin and Alex were talking about. I think combining actions and filters together will be probably one of the most powerful things that I anticipate and see myself using in the next few months.
I totally agree. As a BI developer, it's one of the ways that I really like to engage my audience and tell a story with the data that I'm working with. Cool. I don't see any other comments coming in or questions from our audience. So I wanted to say a huge thank you to our audience for joining us and just interacting and sharing your thoughts and ideas. Definitely want to encourage you, if you haven't already, to sign up for a free account with Astrato. Check it out, play around with the demo workbooks that we have, and create your own as well. We love to hear your feedback. So there's definitely ways to do that through our chat features and other areas on social media. So thank you all for joining us today. I think that's all we have. It's a wrap.